This Casual Friday is brought to you by Full Sail University.
Do you ever feel like your hips are being misadjusted by having a wallet in your back pocket?
Yeah, it depending on the thickness, I might have to yank it out.
So I got a Vita this weekend. I have expanded the Council of 12 into a Council of 13.
Ooh, unlucky
Wow.
We are now a baker's dozen.
How do you like it based on your first 24 hours?
Well, I've only played one game on it so far, a game that I'm reviewing. But it's really hard to get just a Vita now. Like, you pretty much have to buy a bundle. And one of the only bundles they have right now is the Borderlands 2 one. Which I was like, I love that game, but I don't really want to play it on a handheld console.
Right.
Like, I feel like first-person shooters don't belong on handheld
I don't think I've ever
consoles.
really enjoyed one. Like, I wasn't a huge fan of Metroid Prime Hunters on the DS, and that was kind of the closest anyone got. There was an okay Siphon Filter game on the PSP that I liked. I don't know, do you guys consider yourself handheld gamers? Like, do you in general?
I'm definitely not.
You definitely are not. Okay.
I don't really like playing games
Word.
on a handheld. I just find myself wishing. Well, okay, so I mean, I like Pokemon, but I feel like that's actually an unusual exception for me personally. I really loved that game back when I played it on the my Game Boy, black and white even. I think the first one, the red, was in black and white.
But as you got older, you played handheld games less, basically?
Yeah, it was pretty much the only handheld game that I really played, and I only played a handheld because it's I didn't have a console for a while.
Sure. What about you, Tara?
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a handheld gamer, but I play a lot of games on my iPad.
Sure.
I mean, there's so much good stuff there now. It's almost got as rich of a library as any console. I have a 3DS. I almost never use it anymore.
Wow. Okay.
I used it a lot for a while when I first got it. And I'm hoping that doesn't happen to me with this, because I feel like this has a better dedicated library. That and with the PS3 and remote play, I feel like I'll have more of a reason to use this.
That could
than the
potentially
3DS.
be cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm someone who made the awful mistake as a young man of camping. Day one, when the Game Boy Advance came out, I bought that thing. I was in line for that. I don't know if you ever used the original GBA, but you could not see the screen on it, basically. It was just borderline unseeable because there was no backlight in it yet. But handheld games have been a big thing for me.
I still have my original Game Boy in my desk here
Oh,
at
wait,
work,
really?
and I had and I had one of the little lights that you hook onto
you
the
mounted
top
it?
of it.
Oh
yeah.
my god, it's so funny.
We should do a live stream of
We
Super Mario
should,
Land
man.
2.
My parents wouldn't get me one of those because they knew I'd play it
That's
when
for
I'm
playing
in bed.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And they're like, that can't happen. Max would just never go to sleep, and so we can't buy him one of those lights.
So I think most, it's weird, nobody talks about this, but the majority of handheld game playing, at least in my life, I'd say 80% of it has been in a bed. I have really fun memories of being 12 or 13 and listening to the radio and playing Super Monkey Ball Jr. and Pokemon and Advance Wars on my Game Boy SP and WarioWare, really late at night listening to music. And that's continued today. I've been playing a lot of Rusty's Real Deal Baseball while listening to podcasts on the bus and on the train or in bed. And that's, for some reason, that's the perfect way to consume. Because even though you'd think a portable would be for when you leave the house, most of the time I use my portables in bed.
Unless I'm on a plane, I don't like to take anything portable on buses because I'm afraid it'll get stolen out of my hands, which is a totally realistic fear here. But I do mostly play them just at home on my couch.
And maybe that's the appeal of something like using a Vita for PS4 remote play then, is that you can play your PS4 in bed now. That's a cool option to have.
Yeah. I don't know. What kinds of games do you like on handheld?
I mean,
Are you into the first-person shooters?
no, not at all.
I mean,
and
even
for
with the
handheld,
analog
definitely not.
sticks, it's still so
this
especially a game like Borderlands where there's so much happening.
Right.
See,
And
that
this is
sounds
the
a
best-
terrible idea, actually. Yeah.
Also,
a first-person shooter on a handheld seems terrible.
And this is it at its best, right? Vita first-person shooters, as non-ideal as they are light years ahead of the Doom port for the Game Boy Advance and X vs. Sever and all those really bad FPSs that you would hold down R to strafe and shit. That just didn't work.
And something that recently kind of broke my heart a little bit was Bioshock that was announced is not coming to iOS.
Oh yeah, the iPad Bioshock. That was earlier this week, right?
Yeah,
Monday.
and I'm just part of me is I'm glad that maybe another younger generation is being exposed to Bioshock, which is such an important game. But I'm on an iPad, I'm just not sure if you really you're getting the experience. I don't even know if it's like limited, if it's a cut down version of the game, or if it's the whole thing. I mean, but it just like, I know the shooting is gonna suck.
Like, and the best possible version of Bioshock on an iPad is not gonna be as good as the worst possible version of Bioshock on a console.
No.
Right.
Like, it's a lot. It'll maybe expose it to a new audience. Maybe. I think it's gonna cost between $10 and $20, so I don't know that anyone's gonna impulse buy it like they would an iOS game. But it's like, that's not really the way to play it. Like, it's almost like if there was like an Onion for video games, they would make a joke about that in terms of like bad or unnecessary. It's the team who did the XCOM port, so that gives me a little bit of hope. Maybe there's going to be a lot of
I'm sure
auto-aim.
they're going to try really hard, but even if it's good, you know.
Even if
still...
it's good, it's still like, think about where you are and what you're doing when you're playing an iPad game. You're usually in like a brightly lit room. You're like maybe around other people.
Watching
you're not
TV.
totally focused on what you're doing.
Right.
Like Bioshock is such an atmospheric game that you really, I feel, need to be in the right scenario to play it and enjoy it.
So narrative too. I mean, I didn't really expect the thesis of this Casual Friday to be stop doing first-person shooters on portable devices. But
well,
some people enjoy them.
But you know why that is like basically the case though is because there are so many games that are awesome that could only exist on like a mobile like platform, you know, and I feel like in a way like FTL is like unique in now it works great on a PC too, but it's such a good iPad game.
It is.
And I think though for a lot of this stuff, like it comes down to length of play session, right? Like Hearthstone matches compared to Magic the Gathering matches are mercifully short. I think a lot of like sitting down to play 2 hours of Bioshock on an iPad doesn't sound like a fun time, but like playing a quick match of Fire Emblem on the train, or like playing a few rounds of WarioWare, or like there are certain things like minigame collections that you might not want to do the whole arduous like, all right, now I gotta get up and sit down, turn on my game console and plop myself on the couch and like I couldn't do that with Rusty's Real Deal Baseball. That'd be insane. But because it's this passive secondary experience while I watch TV or whatever, it's like that to me is the ultimate portable game. It's
I feel like
occupies your hands and eyes, but not all of your brain, so you can still listen.
Exactly.
And do
That's why I feel like certain genres like platformers, puzzle games, to a lesser extent puzzle games, are really great on handheld consoles, and they just, I feel like they're almost better on handheld consoles than they are on regular consoles. But
like Spelunky, I think.
Exactly.
Spelunky. Maybe amazing. It's, I think, better.
Metrico, what I'm playing right now, is amazing on the Vita.
I don't think I will ever buy, and maybe I'll eat my words, I don't think I'll ever buy Tetris for a console ever again. Because that's a weird way to enjoy Tetris. In 2014, when your time is really limited, you don't want to strap in for a long Tetris sesh. You want to play it idly on
You know what's funny about you saying that is I remember I downloaded Peggle 2 on my Xbox because I was like, I need to play it now, and it was I feel like it was less fun because I was playing it on my Xbox, and in a way it's they have all these crazy sounds and cute animations on the side, and you would think that how could that be a lesser experience? But I liked Peggle 1 more on my iPad.
I actually feel the opposite, but I played it first on Xbox. And you get used to the amount of control, the subtle, nuanced controls.
Yeah.
I feel like it's maybe a little bit better on consoles because you get more of that control. But I can see what you're saying. It is such a simple game. It doesn't need an entire console
port.
That's
so funny. Because I also had the opposite experience of you that Max did, where I first played Peggle because some physics game blog run by Steve Swink recommended it back in the late 2000s, and it was a laptop game for me at that point. So I was just entering college, and I was like, this is the perfect game to play on my laptop while I'm hanging out with my friends in my dorm or whatever. And then the Xbox One came out, and I was really excited because I was like, oh hell yeah, I love Peggle. I bought it, and I was like, this is weird because it's not a passive experience anymore.
It's so deliberate when you want to play it.
Play Peggle on your iPad or your phone or your handheld device or whatever while you watch a show. Makes perfect sense. But imagine trying to play Peggle on your Xbox One or whatever and then watch a show with your iPad on your lap. Imagine reversing it. That doesn't totally add up.
So what you're saying is that a console is not conducive to multitasking.
No, definitely not. Something about the whole act of I'm holding a controller and locking in.
I kind of agree with that actually.
I play
with headphones too, so it's even more when I play a console,
you're
it's
super into Peggle when you're into it.
Yeah.
Why is Max cheering with his headphones on in the room? Because he's listening to Ode to Joy.
Yeah.
I love this thing.
It looks beautiful.
It is really pretty.
I really want one.
Do you want to hold it?
That's
Yeah,
the Slim. That's the
Are
new
your
model.
hands dirty?
I just cleaned them.
Did you? What do you
No,
mean?
but like my shirt is clean, and so I wiped it on there.
That's the new
So-
Slim Vita.
Really? So yeah, I like. Ooh,
It's super lightweight.
It's so light.
I feel like I'm gonna sit on it and destroy it.
I don't know why I want a Vita so much.
You should get one.
It's a big,
It can
beautiful.
be a Council
screen.
14.
I might get one.
I just like. I want one so bad, and then I stop and think about what the hell I would
Like
do with
name
it.
3 games you would play on it.
Yeah, I can't.
Of
And I
course
feel
you.
like,
Come on, Spelunky.
but that's why you join the council, so you can reaffirm
Hokum.
the
Right.
justifications of buying one.
The Vita Owner Council of 13 isn't really a council so much as it is a support group.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a 12-step program.
The Council of 12-step program.
If you've ever considered working behind the scenes to create video games, Full Sail University can help you get ready for that career. Whether you're interested in coding, art, producing, or mobile game development, there's a game degree program at Full Sail University that can teach you the tools, technology, and workflow used by today's studios. Visit fullsail.edu/web3games to learn more.
Would you say that they're the most adorable terrorists you've ever seen?
They're up
like if you
there.
had to rate them.
Definitely top 5.
Top 5.
Top 5.
So we have the 2 terrorists, and their schoolgirl friend,
Yeah, friend, sort of.
who just sort of accidentally stumbled upon
They're terrorist
how
plot.
horrible they actually are.
Yeah.
Like, because there's that one endearing moment